Alright, hold on a minute. Please, just a minute, please. I gotta turn the sound off. Go. Alright, so before you judge me for this, alright, because I know people probably would, you have to remember I was raised by women. So there's some girly things that I'm gonna like. And I used to watch this quite a bit when I was a kid, let me tell you. So, I have to tell you this. I have not watched this since I was not able to watch VHS anymore. So that's going on 10 years? Because I had a VCR when I moved in here. Gotta be at least 10 years since I've seen it. And, I'm looking at it through a more critical eye now that I review movies. And, well, man, this movie doesn't hold up. It's so cheesy. There are parts where some of the line delivery, like, okay, so there's a part, the one that really stuck out to me, there's a part where there's a fire at an orphanage, or a children's home, whatever you call it. And Pippi is getting ready to go save the kids and stuff. He's starting to need a rope. And then she goes over and like, the little kids are Tommy and Annika. She's like, "Hi, Tommy and Annika. Mr. Nielsen, I need you." Or, "Mr. Nielsen, you're just the one I was looking for. Just the one I need." That's her monkey, by the way. And so, yeah, it's very weird. So, the story is that Pippi and Longstockings, I'm not going to Pipalada, bada, window frame, pot, Longstocking, whatever. And I'm serious. Window frame, I think, is one of her middle names. Or something. So, it's about Pippi Longstocking. She's on a boat with her father and his crew. And there's a terrible storm. And they get separated in the storm. She washes away to the Villa Villacula house. That's the name of the house. Villa Villacula. And he gets washed away to some cannibal island. But watching this, and because he doesn't say where he went. He just yells out, "Go to the Villa Villacula. You will be safe there until I can find you." And so she just ends up washing up there. And then she tells them her father went to a cannibal island. And later when he comes back, we find out that just so happens to be where he washed up. How did she know that's where he would end up? Who knows? Her mother has passed away. But she ends up living in this house called Villa Villacula, which is next door to Tommy and Annika. And her parents, the father, which is played by Dennis Dugan. And he's pretty good in this. Him and Eileen Brennan, I think, are the only ones really trying. Well, there's Dick Van Patten. He's pretty good. Dick Van Patten? No. Yes. Who am I thinking? Is it Dick Van Patten? Would I lie? The guy from Spaceballs. It's Dick Van Patten, right? It's him. Yeah, Dick Van Patten. That's who it is. I think that's him. So, yeah. He's the glue man. So, yeah. There are things in this film that I've never understood even as a kid. So, Pippi shows up this Villa Villacula. Shortly afterwards, this guy and these two thugs want to get a hold of the place so that they can sell it, or tear it down and sell the land. Basically what they want to do. There's problems with that, though. As an adult, I know that for Pippi to be able to live there, that must be her father's property. So he must own it for her to be able to live there to begin with. Therefore, there's permits and stuff like that. There's got to be something that says that he keeps that, even though he's not there. There has to be paperwork somewhere. So they wouldn't be able to, because there's a scene where she goes to the children's home, and these thugs think they're going to just take the house. And then they're like, oh no, there are going to be guards posted there. And it's like, they couldn't just take the house anyway. They got to have lawyers and stuff. They can't just take it. There's legal repercussions that will happen. They just try to take it and tear it down. It's so weird. And no one knocks. Like, Tommy and Annika go over to Pippi's. It happens like 3 or 4 times. They go over there, and the parents just walk in. Like, I understand the first time when it's in the middle of the night, but then there's like, oh, the mom walks in, or I think Brennan walks in. Just like, knock, fucker. It's someone else's house. You don't just walk in, And then there's, I think, Brennan's character. She plays this, she works for the children's home, and it's her job to make sure children find, have a home. And she's just so against the idea of any child living alone. Judging by Pippi's age here, she's got to be at least 15. Which means she would be a teenager. And there is such a thing as emancipation. And may I reiterate, it's got to be her father's property. She's living there with permission from her parent. Therefore, there's really nothing they could do about it, to be honest. And it's really a moot point because, she's so against it. And then in the end, after she saves the kids from the fire, they just let her live back there again. No problems. Nothing. They just let her live there again. Does that make any sense? She does eventually, because they run away. Because Pippi just doesn't want to, she doesn't want to deal with all that problems anymore. So she decides to run away. But then they almost go over a waterfall, it's barrels. And then they're rescued by the dad and some guy in some weird helicopter thing. Okay, that's another thing. It's like a weird plane thing. Pippi calls it a pterodactyl. She knows where the house is. She knows where cars are. She should know what planes are. It makes no sense. It doesn't even look like a weird plane. It's just a plane with a helicopter thing on top. It's not even that weird. And I don't know if I have to point this out, but there are scenes where you see the helicopter from away and things are spinning. They're just spinning away. Like this. Right? But when they show it close up with the people, they go like this. But then when they're far away, right there. It's very weird. It's very weird. And there's this part with school that, she draws a horse on the school and like, oh, you're defacing property. Yeah, I get that. But there's a scene where she visits Tommy and Annika in school, and she's like, "Can you teach me something?" She goes, "No, I don't think I can do that. You're making it impossible." I'm like, how is she making it impossible? She's just sitting in a tree. How is she making it impossible? She does eventually get to school and teaching me. There's this just Mrs. Messerschmidt. First of all, I'd like to know, when is this taking place? Because this came out in 1988, but the way they're dressed, it's like a Disney movie from the 70s. It's like Mary Poppins, Newsies, or even Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which took place in 1945. So, it's very weird. Is this taking place? Is this a period piece? Because they're like, even in the 80s, there were some women who wore jeans, but everyone's wearing a dress. The boys have button-up shirts and weird little hats on. This is 1988, the height of the 80s. There should be big poofy hair and earrings that go up this big and freaking people with mohawks and leather jackets and stuff. This is not set in the 80s. I'll tell you that much. And I'll tell you why I know it's not set in the 80s, because there's a scene where Pippi gets her hands hit with a with a yardstick. And I guarantee you, by 1988, that wasn't a thing in the schools anymore. I guarantee it. So it's very weird as to when this takes place. But yes, there was a fire because some stupid janitor somehow is able to smoke in a school. Which even in 1988, you wouldn't be able to smoke in a school. Or a school-like house, whatever. And he just throws it, doesn't put it out, just throws it right onto some newspaper, which is going to catch on fire. And there's a fire. And so Pippi and the glue guy, they have to save these kids, and they do. And then she's like celebrated. She's able to go back home to Villa Kula, and she's celebrated by the people. And then her father shows up. And he says, well, I can take you. I landed on the Cannibal Island, and I was promised. They said, well, they only let me go when I told them I would bring them a cannibal princess back named Pippalata. So Pippi's going to be the princess. 1. Pippi just automatically agrees without thinking about the feelings of anyone else. She's like, yeah, I'm going to be a princess. I want to be a princess. And then Tommy and Annika have this look on their face like, well, Tommy does. And look, nothing against the actress who played Annika, but she's terrible. She is terrible. I'm sorry. I hope she got better. Maybe this was her first thing, but she's terrible. Her line delivery sucks. She cannot convey emotion. Okay, so we'll get to it in a minute here. So, then we cut to them getting ready to leave. And they're on the boat and stuff. And she's like, see you in 50 years. I might come to visit before that. Just like, 50 years. Really? I don't know. So she uses the little eye thingy, this little thing, binocular thing to look. And she sees Tommy. He's crying. And it looks good. But then, and I laughed my ass off at this because it was just so funny. They show Annika. And this, like I said, this actress, she can't convey emotion. She's going, that's her crying face. That's her crying face. I laughed my ass off just because it was so ridiculous. And then she decides she's going to stay behind. So she somehow picks up the horse, throws him into the water, and then there's a line that's 80 yard from the dad where he says, you can leave Mr. Diosa with me if you want. But then she takes the monkey anyway. And it's 80 yard. So why was that line put in there? 80 yard implies that it was added afterwards. Why is that put in there? Who knows? But she goes back, and they all ride the horse, which is somehow dry. So is she. I don't know. And then right off as the theme song plays. It's all underwhelming for me. I used to really love this. It's fine, but it's cheesy. Some of the acting is terrible. Also, they have a cliffhanger with the dude and the 2 goons saying that, oh, we're going to get this house. I promise. This is literally 5 minutes before the film ends. The Christmas scene. When they all sing the song, oh, I promise. Like 10 minutes before the movie ends. Because after that, the dad shows up. He dressed up like a king. And it's very hard to figure out whether or not they're lying. There's some things where she's talking, and you think, okay, it might be true, but they say that she's lying. And then there's one line, like, oh, when Eileen Brennan asks, Pippi, how did you get down from there? Oh, I asked for wings and I flew. Why didn't you just say I used the glue man's sticky glue on my shoes and walked down? It would sound just as ridiculous. Why did you need to lie? That one was definitely a lie. And then there's the dad who says that he was crowned king. And they said, well, where's your robe? And it's like, he's going to make some excuse why he doesn't have it. Oh, it's in me duffel. And he's got this nice little robe. Also, that dad is screwed. Because he was let go with the promise that he'd bring them a cannibal princess. Now, he said that he converted them to being vegetarian cannibals, whatever that means. Are they eating just animal wildlife now, or what? But I guarantee he gets back there and he's got nothing to show for. He's food. He is food. Pippi's never going to see her father again because he's food. I guarantee you they're going to fry him up. Roast him, put him in a pot, something. He's food. Because he didn't bring back the princess. You can't just explain, well, she decided not to come. And again, if he was lying, why would he come back? You know? Who knows? But here's another thing. We assume he ended up on the cannibals, right? We assume he somehow found his way back, but he's got the whole crew with him. In a ship that's somehow in one piece again. How does that work? I just thought of that. Oh no. It's not like I remember. It's not as good. The music is still pretty good. But I will admit that sometimes the music just happens. Like there's the song where she puts the sticker stuff on her shoes and she puts his feet up there and he's like, oh, you gotta believe. So she starts to believe and the song just, sticky situation. And she's coming like, that was literally just out of nowhere. Other songs start off, they have the intro and stuff. Scrubbing day is my favorite day. It's just like, okay, there's intros and stuff. Even the Pippi Longstocking theme song has intro, but that one just, sticky situation, out of nowhere. It's just really out of nowhere. But the songs are pretty good. For the most part, this film is decent. So I'm going to give it a 7. I still like it. It's just that some of the acting is cheesy. Terrible line delivery, for the most part. And even some of the plot where, like, oh, you have to go to school. Or you have to be in a home. You cannot live alone. It's just like, okay, I get it. We gotta hammer in these plot points, but why couldn't you just say, I'm waiting for my father. This is his house. And they're just like, oh, how do we know it's his father's house? Motherfucker, look up the paperwork. Come on. Common sense. But yeah, it gets a 7 out of 10. So what are your thoughts on the new adventures of Pippi Longstocking? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. We'll see you in the next one.